Good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We're going to continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough with the remaining portion of End of Dragons. So what is that? Well, after the core portion, which we've completed, we completed End of Dragons as it was when it was launched, and then they added a couple more chapters, if you will. I think in the actual in our little list of story chapters here, it's like 3 or 4 more that we have left. It really manifested as two. It was like two releases, both of which were relatively short. So they added that later to kind of close out the End of Dragon story, and that's what we have remaining. And that's what we're going to try to get done before the release of Secrets of the Obscure here in just a few days. So let's go ahead and trigger that, because right now we don't have any mail. Well, that's not mail at all. We don't have any mail related to that. This was related to the Jory Casimir thing. This we're going to come back to when we get back to 0 I think this was earlier in the story. I don't even know. It's not relevant. So we don't have anything related to that right now. And I don't know what's going to trigger when we start it. So I wanted to avoid even setting it up as our next thing until we were ready to go ahead and capture that. So What Lies Beneath picks us up at the end of the Dragon cycle, but still with all of our End of Dragons characters and so forth. Alright, yep, mail. Let's see, are we going to get like weird audio before we even get through the letter? No? Okay. From Rama. Hey, friends, enjoying the peace and quiet lately? Me, neither. What in the world do people do? If you've been missing my company lately, you know you are. Meet me at the Red Duck Tea House for food and drinks. I already ordered lots of sushi, and some good food too. Oh, yeah, right, because Rama doesn't like sushi. So that would be more like, and some good food too. P.S. Sorry for the generic invite, but there are a lot of you, and paperwork isn't my thing anymore. I'm retired. Yeah, so we kind of got that at the end of End of Dragons, that Rama was maybe kind of done doing the, you know, camping law enforcement thing and was more interested in like going independent as like a private investigator, right? So Rama and Marjorie and Goric are like a private eye company, I guess. Is that a thing? Apparently, it's a thing. I mean, it is a thing, but apparently, it's a thing in Cantha as well. So that's what's going on with Rama, and he's invited us to some sort of shindig. So we're gonna head over there. We shouldn't be too far away from it, honestly. And we'll get this thing started. There we go. They started this in a really weird spot because there are actually events that can spawn here, and like if you're like camped right here and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go make a drink or whatever you're gonna do before starting the story, and you just leave your tune here, there's a good possibility you're gonna get killed, which is really unusual for them when it comes to like the starting point of a like a story chapter. They don't do that very often. Usually they put it in a spot where that's not gonna happen. It was kind of a I mean, it's not problematic anyway. It was just unusual for them to do that. They don't generally do that. All right, let's see what Rama's got going on. Not a bad loading screen at all. Pretty cool, actually.
I haven't seen Marjorie in weeks. She's up to her Coakley in event planning. Did you invite Captain Min?
Yes. What about timing?
I'm not sure. She's been busy researching with Lady June. Biomechatronics, alternative energies, fascinating tech. Commander! Glad you made it. You look exhausted.
So, what's this all about?
Wait, are you getting engaged, Rama?
Yeah. Surprise. I'm getting married to that sushi roll.
But you don't like sushi. Is that heart-shaped?
You should be a detective. Now, please eat. I sure don't want it.
It is heart-shaped. All right, so what's going on here? And by the way, I don't think there's like a significant amount of clarity on how much time has passed since the events that brought us to the End of Dragons. So I don't know if this is meant to be perceived as a few weeks after, or if it's meant to be perceived as like 9 months after, whatever, which I think was roughly the timeline between the end of End of Dragons and when they rolled this out. Because between End of Dragons and this, they rolled out like a whole bunch of, well, all of like the season 1 stuff. So that was kind of in lieu of Living World. We got season 1 back, and then we got these two things, and now we're waiting on Secrets of the Obscure. Rama, what is going on here? Great to see you. Glad you showed up at least. Yeah, so the invitation led us to believe a whole bunch of people were invited. Right now I see Gorik, Rama, and us. And after all, who else is Gorik going to hang out with? Except for maybe Timey. Like, should you be hanging out with Timey, Gorik? Apparently, he mentioned Timey was doing things, though, right? She's hanging out with June. Were you hoping for a bigger turnout, Rama? Considering there's 3 of us here and I showed up late, apparently.
There's some folks I wish were here. Well, people are busy. Cleaning up, traveling, running a government agency. I get it.
You don't sound like you get it, Rama. You said I get it like you don't get it. So I think like all this is very obviously leading in one direction, right? Not the band, like an actual direction, plot wise. So presumably like we're already all like tracking that he was expecting Min to be here. Gorik, great to see you, Commander. Quite a party, isn't it? I guess so. Gorik excels at being oblivious, right? And that's part of his charm. If you do in fact find him charming, some people really dislike Gorik, which I find interesting. I guess I can understand why. I don't. I find him quite enjoyable. For me, he is the kind of levity that we need versus the kind of levity that we don't need. Um, but some people, I guess, find him pretty much intolerable. How's timing?
June keeps her quite busy, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Though I do wish she would take more breaks.
Okay. Very little dialogue. Waiter. Very, like, stuffy looking waiter. Look, so I don't recognize those facial expressions from, like, any other character ever. Did they actually take the time to, like, try to create new facial expressions for the waiter in this story instance? It almost feels like they did. Since you have a dialogue box over your head, waiter, what's up? How's business?
People feast when they're happy, gorge themselves when they're sad. When life seems unpredictable, they eat their fears. We're extremely busy these days.
Because of which one of those things? We'll never know. How long have these two been here?
The talkative one arrived a short time ago. The handsome one has been here for some time. Seems a bit nervous.
Yeah, I think we know why. What's with the heart-shaped sushi?
Ah, yes, a special order requested it be just so. Exquisite work by our chef, though the gentleman refused to taste it.
Yeah. So you, interesting. I think actually this is a case of like really good voice acting, albeit out of someone who probably we've never heard before and never will again. I don't recognize the voice from like other parts of Guild Wars 2. Who knows? Like maybe it's just a staff member who had a knack for this kind of thing, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you take a break from world design or whatever they had him working on," and was like, "Hey, be a voice actor." I have no idea, or maybe they hired someone just to do those few lines. But it appears to be a unique voice, and it's actually pretty well voice acted in that you definitely get the vibe just from those few lines of like who this waiter is. In terms of this is apparently a fancy place, right? That's what he tells us. He's kind of looking down his nose at us. We maybe aren't the usual clientele. This is like a fancy restaurant. We got all kinds of food here, and there is actually, by the way, a achievement. Sample all the food and drinks that Rama ordered. For whatever reason, I don't know why it is on my main account. I've yet to get this achievement because even when I eat literally everything in here, I don't get the achievement. And so there's some kind of trick, clearly, that I am missing out on. But I'm not going to take the time right now. If no one else can eat the heart-shaped sushi, I will. It appears to be a bowl of soup when I actually have it in my... Oh, I have 2 bowls of soup. That... I zoomed in and zoomed out, and this is what it did. I put a bowl of soup in each hand.
Speaking of detective agency, oh, it's timing. I'm putting you on broadcast. I'm at Rama's party with the commander and Rama.
Oh, right. Sorry I couldn't make it. So, listen to this. Yao told June that the Jade Brotherhood discovered some super high-powered jade deep in a mine. But Yao told me Chomu said something strange is going on. Aggressive creatures, missing Brotherhood. Sounds like...
An opportunity.
Yeah, I was gonna say problem, but...
It is a problem. A disturbing one. I'm going to check it out. Who are you talking to? Is that Gorik?
Okay, talk to you later, Timey. This is it. We're doing this. The Friends Detectives.
Wait. You can't just decide you're a detective agency. This is Cantha. There's paperwork.
I filed the application weeks ago. Copies are on the table. Look.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be this giant stack of papers here. So they've always made an effort to make the to make Cantha appear bureaucratic in nature, and they do a pretty good job of that. They reference it throughout the End of Dragon story, and of course we remember sitting in like what was basically the DMV to get our permit to travel from Saitong into New Kaneng. So here we see again, like these are all the forms apparently that Gorik here filled out in order to make the Friends Detective Agency like a valid thing. Gorik, Rama,
The
Friends
Ministry
Detective
of
Agency.
Investigatory Services hereby grants the Friends Detective Agency a duly recognized partnership.
But nobody's hired us to do anything. Who'll pay us? And that name is terrible.
It is.
We can discuss the name later. More importantly, we need to build a reputation. Besides, if there's a new power source, shouldn't we know about it? Or do you think we can trust the Brotherhood to do the right thing? And what if Yao gets into trouble? We can help, right, Commander?
You're not wrong.
Think of the exposure. I can lead the investigation, with your input, of course. We'll have cases pouring in no time.
Well, this party is a complete bust. Let's head to the mine. Take some food with you. It's paid for.
Poor Rama. Poor Rama. It's rough being whatever he is. Oh, we get to talk to the waiter more. Hey, you got, oh, apparently not. Really? Why does he have the thing over his head when we can't say anything else to him? Is there, like, something that I need to do to, like... Huh. Maybe he wants some tea. You want some tea, buddy? No? Alright. Well, I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time on him. Gorik. Seems like your agency's coming
Just
together.
waiting on the actual license. Then we'll officially be in business. I do sense some reluctance on Rama's part.
Terrible idea.
But I'm convinced that once we begin our investigation, he'll come around. Marjorie hasn't responded to my daily updates. I believe she has other priorities at the moment, understandably. I'll contact Ivan if we have need of a ship, or a cat sitter. But Rama and I can handle things for the foreseeable future.
I kind of like the like mental image of Marjorie just like trying to chill and receiving like 1 or 2 letters a day from Gorik of just like weird minutia and descriptions of bugs. You spearheading things for the agency? Gunning for lead detective?
I wouldn't say that necessarily. This is an agency comprised of friends. But I've worked alongside a number of impressive leaders, yourself included, and, well, I'd like to try my hand at it.
We can't talk to him when we're seated. First Jory, and now you learn the tricks of the trade from Rama. Right, so Gorik's like, he's going to be a pro detective here soon.
Yes, though he's been a bit distracted.
Uh-huh. Hey, is she here yet?
This investigation should provide an opportunity for Rama to focus, and for me to observe and learn.
So we're kind of getting something here. There's more than just, yes, I want to capture like all the little story pieces in terms of dialogue and stuff, but also there's another reason that I'm kind of focusing on this, and that is because the tone that we're getting here in this opening instance is actually very much the tone of these remaining chapters. Now, we have no indication that that's going to be the tone of Secrets of the Obscure. On the contrary, they're kind of trying to portray Secrets of the Obscure as being relatively dark, and maybe it will be. That would be a really nice change for Guild Wars 2. But all this stuff right here is like really, well, it vacillates drastically between like really lighthearted. All these instances where we're interacting with people are super lighthearted, and then like the enemy has like this really dark streak, and so those instances can feel a bit dark, which is good, but they go wildly back and forth between the two. And I actually, to be fair, I didn't dislike it as much as I've disliked other parts of Guild Wars 2, such as Season 3 and Pathfire. I do think story-wise it does play better than that, but it has some real weaknesses. And a lot of players were really turned off by like the Friends Detective Agency and Gorick being very present throughout this entire throughout these chapters. And there are a few other things that they felt a lot of players felt was like not very rewarding. So we'll get to more of that when we cross that bridge. But I did kind of want to draw attention to the fact that this is the tone that when we're interacting with allies is going to be the tone for the next few videos. All right, Rama, how do you feel about this detective agency idea?
I don't know. Part of me thinks I should just take a vacation. Other part of me thinks I'd just get bored. So, why not?
You sound highly motivated. You sound like me when I retired. I can relate to everything that's happening here. What do you think about Gorick being a detective, right? Like, he's a smart guy, highly motivated?
Well, Marjorie vouches for him, and he's a smart guy.
Thank you, Rama. I'm certain we'll...
But book smarts aren't everything. Guess we're gonna find out if I can coach him up. I will say this. He's persistent.
Isn't he, though? Very persistent. Okay. What about Yao? Why are we asking about Yao? I guess this is just like a little bit of exposition and character development from MarinaNet. Like, I don't know why Rama would have a whole bunch of input on Yao.
Resourceful. Ambitious. Though I get the impression they've got a lot going on. Not so sure about the company they keep. Sorry. I don't mean you.
Maybe you do. Commander's a real piece of trash. Any concerns about the
I
Brotherhood?
don't trust them one bit. Especially Chelmu. He only joined the fight when it meant survival for him and his own.
All right. And maybe the questions about Yao and Cholmu are not related so much to like Rama's personal feelings as they are because it's Yao and Cholmu who are like the people that we are going to see as we go forward in Gaiala Delph. So perhaps that's why we asked him about them. It still seems weird that Rama's like the person that we want to engage on that, but you know, maybe as a police chief, he like has dossiers on them, right? Minsec, isn't that a thing Minsec would do? Keep dossiers on people. Every time you go into an instance, you lose your battery charges. That doesn't feel good. So, to Gaiala Delve we go. So, Gaiala Delve is one of those maps, like Silver Waste, Dry Top, where they released it in portions. Drizzlewood's another good example of that. In fact, Gaiala Delve, if you were to ask me, has more in common with Icebrood Saga than anything else. I don't know if I want to say Drizzlewood or if I want to say like Bajor Marches, but it has more in common with Icebrood Saga than anything else in Guild Wars 2. In terms of what is the feel of Gaiala Delve, how does it work, and there's some things about Gaiala Delve that don't work, and we'll get to that when we get there, but it has some real problems. It is not executed nearly as well as Drizzlewood. So if there's a big difference between the two, that is it. Is that it is a very poor facsimile of Drizzlewood, and missing some key components in how it works. Now the actual meta event there does have some of the critical components, in my opinion, for what makes a good meta event, but some of the things that are not good about the map detract from that. And when we get to that map and we start going through some of that stuff, then we'll talk a bit more about that. Oh, am I like some kind of dead end here? What have I done? It's like a path I never go. Alright. So this is going to be our entrance point for Gaiala Delves, whatever this like tunnel or whatever's happening here. I don't think this was ever intended, by the way, to be an entrance to anything. I think this is simply where they chose to put the entrance. There was nothing prior to Gaiala Delves to indicate that this like random rail thing here was actually going to go to another part of the map. And it still feels weird because you have all of this, and then Gaiala Delves is like over here, I think. I think it's right around here. We'll find out in a second. It's been a minute since I've been there because honestly, I didn't spend a lot of time there when it launched. Okay. On the case. We are on the case. I like the art here, but the overwhelming use of like yellow screen is like naturally creates an anxious feeling. That's not a color that people, I think, generally associate with like good emotions.
Knowledge of healing is mostly theory-based. Detective, are you trained in mouth-to-mouth resuscitation?
You know, you can just call me Rama, since I guess we're both detectives now.
Thank you, Rama. I don't have a surname or honorific per se, but even if I did, you could still call me Gorik.
Ah, thanks.
And that is what turns people off. Like they, for whatever reason, because I don't find it the most egregious thing Rena's ever done by any stretch of the imagination, but there were a lot of negative reactions to like that kind of banter.
Is he
He has a pulse, but it's weak.
any sign of Yao? Or anyone?
No, but we haven't been here long. Besides this guy, the place is a ghost town.
What if that's Yao? We need to investigate.
You two stay here and tend to him. I'll take a look.
All right, let's go take a look. Now we can use our mounts in this instance if we choose to. There's really no need to.
Stay back! What the hell is wrong with you?
Me? What's wrong with you?
I like that this like random mech is like cursing at us. Well, not cursing exactly, but like the way it's talking to us is not very mech-like. That's actually quite a bit of fun, in my opinion.
Commander, quick, hit the off switch.
What off switch?
Timing. Thanks for the assist. This is Finn. I programmed him to be a fast learner, but I guess he adopted too much of Cholmu's management style.
We told Cholmu positive reinforcement. Lasted about 15 minutes. Then he went back to his usual abrasive self.
I heard things were going off the rails out here. Thought I'd drop by, make sure everyone's okay.
Really? What have you heard?
Some of the crew are MIA. Not sure if they're walking off the job and sticking it to Cholmu, or something worse.
My team's still here. But a guy locked himself in a room, yelling like he was possessed. Or, I don't know, maybe stressed out. And the animals are acting up. I know, it sounds stupid. I thought the veterans were making it up to scare the newbies.
Cholmu did say the wildlife out here is spawned from Shiro himself.
Then he's told you more than he's told us. I bet if you ask around the camp, you'll hear more.
Okay, why don't we ask around the camp? But before we do that, Ari? Is it Ari? Ari? I don't know how to say her name. Ari, what's up? Don't report me for catching a breather. I won't report you for whatever you're doing. Thanks, I guess. How long is this excavation? Because, we had no indications that this... Yeah, it's like way over here. It's even further over than I thought. So we went like through a portal right here and ended up right here. I think they just didn't know where to put the portal. Like I think they chose New Kaineng versus like something in Dragon's End, like putting a portal like here, in the snow or something, because they wanted it more accessible. Whereas maybe some players hadn't been in Dragon's End or whatever. So I think that's why they did that. But like weird place for it. But we had no indications that any of this was going on. And this actually, from a storytelling perspective, like from the timeline for End of Dragons, this would make sense that after the death of Su Wan and now the struggle to figure out what to do with Jade Tech, that if the Jade Brotherhood found a place to mine Jade that was already like very powerful, then that would be like a huge boon for them, and might give them the edge, not only when it comes to speakers, because now they have like a like a cash flow, so to speak, but also maybe even kind of giving them leverage against June, right? How long has this excavation been going on? Mine's been around since before I was born. Oh, okay. So, but dormant for years. After Suwon, everyone's been looking for jade or energy sources. Scouts found this jade, so we brought in equipment and started digging. Okay, so it was something that was always here, and maybe not even a Brotherhood thing before, but now it is a Brotherhood thing. What do you know about this area? Some of the crew say they hear voices, see things. Don't know, don't care. Mining's always risky. I'm out here breaking my back to get paid. Noises or not, need to put food on the table. Yeah, I mean, I get that. How did the Jade Brotherhood find out about this place? Details above my pay grade, buddy. Okay. Hey, like, just asking a question. Chul Mu's got eyes and ears, and knuckles in a lot of places. He hears about anything valuable. You can bet we'll be doing everything we can to beat Junlai to it. Okay. And the Brotherhood did all this? Logistics, planning, giant drills? Do I look like the marketing department? Look, Junlai is not the only game in town. Though I'm surprised that the MOT, I assume that's the Ministry of Transit. I'm surprised that the Ministry of Transit hasn't caught wind with all the train issues. Or maybe they did, and Cholmu sorted it out. Sorted it out? Don't play naive. Last thing we need is MOT or Junlai out here poking around, telling us what's what, eating into our profits. We hit the mother lode out here. That's ours. I'm sure Cholmu would agree. Yeah, sure. I can dig it. I mean, why would the commander really have a problem with this, considering all the things that the commander's been engaged with? Okay, so we got a variety of different folks who like need things. In some cases, it's very clear what they need, and we can kind of preempt the process. Because when we come up to this Brotherhood scrapper and say like, "Hey, do you know anything about weird things going on here?" They're not going to tell us anything till we provide them with what they want. And this little bubble above their head tells us what they want, so let's just go ahead and give it to them. Heard some strange things are happening here. You see anything unusual? I'm in no shape to be talking about it right. All right, well, no problem. I got medicine.
Seen? Good luck seeing anything down in that pit. The air's thick as soup and barely breathable. I already have asthma. If I wind up with more breathing problems, Cholmu's gonna pay.
Okay, so if you were curious, which you probably weren't, asthma is a thing in Tyria. That's now been established. Glad we nailed down that little bit of canon. Hey, buddy, you're probably looking for some jade, aren't you? Got a deadline here. Let's make a deal. Grab some jade for me. So they all got their thing, but we're just
Damn right
expediting.
Even Jindo hates it. Yesterday he snapped at me, then ran off. He's usually such a good boy. Never so much as growled at me before. If you're nosing around here anyway, could you look for him? He's got me worried.
I do wonder if, like, I've never actually looked for Jindo the dog. Maybe one of these days I will. Maybe there's some sort of weird little achievement for, like, finding and petting Jindo or something. Sometimes they do that kind of thing, and I actually find it rewarding when they do. Like, I like those weird little hidden achievements.
How about you mind your own damn business? Nosy snoop.
Well, that wasn't helpful at all. Our green bar advanced, though. So apparently, in the eyes of ArenaNet, it's helpful, even if, in fact, I didn't think there was anything. What does this guy want? I think this guy wants, like, an axe. I don't even see an axe around. But I do see a guy who wants food and a cooking fire, so... oh, did I not actually grab the food?
I haven't seen anything per se, but I swear I heard something. A voice from the dark, whispering. When I turned around, no one was there.
Okay. So this is, pickaxe. Someone's looking for the pickaxe. I just don't remember who. So this is the kind of thing that I actually, like, quite like. Is, like, the, Are you the one looking for a pickaxe?
Who wants to know? You Minsec or something?
Wow. That's a voice that we've never heard before in the game either. The potential for this to be like a bizarre, dark story is already like making it self-evident. And that's really cool because they don't do enough like really genuinely bizarre dark stories. And this had potential. Part of what was working against this in a horrible way was that this wasn't a full release. This wasn't an end of story season. This wasn't an expansion of in of itself, or like an Icebrew Saga type pseudo expansion, which I think mini expansions are probably going to just end up looking a lot like Icebrew Saga in my opinion. So it wasn't any of those things. It was just a couple of story releases to kind of move us along and close out the End of Dragon stuff. So unfortunately, they didn't do nearly as much with it as they could have. Now maybe they're going to continue some of that forward into Secrets of the Iskir, and that wouldn't be so bad.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some stuff. Stuff you wouldn't believe. Like this one lady started talking backward. Out of nowhere. Strangest thing I've ever heard. But it gets weirder. Saw this Kappa. Cute little thing. Ran over and, bit this guy's head clean off. Like a snack. And then, it shot laser beams from its beady little eyes. I swear. Watch yourself out there.
Is screaming the only way the Brotherhood knows how to communicate?
Alright, so that was not helpful. I believe we can, continue to talk to folks. Yeah, speak with all optional witnesses. Do we want to talk? No, I don't. I don't think we're going to get anything that really, advances the story in a notable way. I don't know that I've ever done it. I don't know that I have interest in it. We're going to go ahead and keep rolling. Let's go to where the story actually advances. What is going on over here? I heard screaming.
Finally! Did no one hear me yelling?
I did.
No offense,
actually.
Jinu, but you yelling isn't that unusual. You alright?
Yao? I told you to... No, I'm not alright. Jin Lee attacked me.
The quiet, polite guy? Well, you're working everyone to the bone. Maybe he's stressed.
He bit me.
Oh.
I choose you. He's back. Keep him away from me.
Alright, so we saw a void-like effect when he popped up. I don't think we have any reason to believe that void is... I'm just trying to preempt a thing here. That's not the void. That just... They use the same visual effect, that's all.
Thank you for doing that. I didn't have the heart to do it myself.
Was that really
Right.
Jin Lee? He was acting like a monster. But if any part of him is still him, I don't know what to say.
This place puts everyone on edge. They go down there to mine, and if they come back, they're all rebellious.
If. Maybe you should, I don't know, be looking for them?
I tried, but look, if you're gonna criticize me, run home to June. That why you're really here? To spy?
Gods, you're paranoid. You said things were out of hand, which checks out. I'm staying to search for the crew.
Don't go down. You won't listen anyway. Do whatever you want, but don't say I didn't warn you.
You're in a tough position. I get that. But the longer you sit back and wait, the more people will wind up like Jin Lee. I know how much you care about your crew, but if you don't act now, you won't have any crew left to care about. Commander, if you want to scope out more of the area, I'll meet you later in the lower mines. Chulmu, these people have been nothing but brave for you. It's time to return the favor.
Is it just me, or am I amazing?
Alright, let's find out what's going on here. People are acting weird. They go into the mine, they come back acting weird. If they come back at all, as we recall. Oh, there's actually people here. I thought this map was like dead. What do you know? Med event's not happening though. Sitting there waiting to start. Oh, we got a green bar. Actually, you know what? Now I seem to recall there being several green bars throughout this whole thing. All right, filter recharge station. So we actually see that on our story thing here. Display filter choices. I'm not paying for a filter. The only advantage to paying for a filter, actually there's no advantage. That's 30 charges. That's 30 charges. Oh, man, this gives you a chance at a Luxon weapon cache from event completion. Gain filter recharge with each open mining cache. 3 filter charges on successful event completion. Okay, so they got like little bonuses with it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a terrible system. Those little bonuses notwithstanding, it is still a terrible system. So you get these charges. Over time, you lose the charges while you're down in the mine, and then you have to regain the charges so that you can continue to remain. Because as we go into the mine, you get a debuff if you don't have your filter charges. So they create a debuff to force you to use a mechanic that they've introduced for dealing with the debuff. I got an idea. Don't create the debuff. Just let us play the map. I don't know if they imagined that it was going to provide some kind of flavor. It does not provide flavor. It just provides annoyance. And generally speaking, the way it feels like is that as you're completing the meta event, you tend to run out of charges. That's the way it's always felt to me. Now, I did only play the meta event in the first few days of this map. Haven't played it since. So it may simply be that at that point in time, that we weren't, we as...
Gork, let's see what the deal is with that captain.
Oh, Yao, I'm sorry. I didn't intend. I just assumed.
No worries. Come on, Chomu. We'll handle the base. We have some catching up to do anyway.
This doesn't have anything to do with the story. That's just part of the meta event. These are the characters that are in our story are the same characters that are in the meta event. These 4 personalities are going to dominate all of this. Right? Rama, Gorik, Orakalkamor, Shomu. So, just get used to it. Yeah, see, so they heavily baked in this filter thing, and it's just terrible. It just doesn't feel good. And I guess if you're trying to farm like those weapon caches, then maybe you want to invest in those specialized filters or whatever. But in general, it feels like just a mechanic that exists for the sake of mechanics existing, and that doesn't feel. Is everyone going this way? We don't have a big enough group to be splitting up, guys. Just being real with you.
Listen up. I know we're all a little on edge, but you're
That's how I do it. Feel the fury.
Alright, so I'm not going to do this for the whole meta. I have no desire to do this for the whole meta. We can talk about the meta event at some point as far as what it is and what it is not. Yeah, we don't have any of the map currency. But right now we're just trying to fill the green bar. That's my only goal. Fill the green bar. And let's continue to advance through the story. I want to get all of End of Dragons done before Secrets of the Obscure launches. Not just done, like, completed the playthrough, because I could do that, this weekend. Well, I need to do it this weekend regardless. But I'd also like to get it up on YouTube before Secrets of the Obscure launches. So, for that reason, I don't want to waste time doing things we don't need to do. Also, I don't find Gaiala Delve to be terribly fun. That's not to say it isn't rewarding, and it's not to say that it isn't even, like, put together relatively well. It's not the worst designed meta ever. I really don't feel like it is, but I don't know. It doesn't feel good to me. And the second half is awful. Second half is horrible. The first half, it's just not engaging for whatever reason. But it has many of the characteristics that you would want out of a successful meta event. So this is a really good example. One of the things that people don't like about this map is that it's somewhat reliant on turtles. I don't like that either. They created a mount that they realized didn't have a lot of use, and so then they tried to create a use for it, and that's like backwards. That's not how you create good content. Brutal time that we're spending doing this. I'm done. To be honest, I'm not sure why we can't go in there now. It's kind of weird.
I'll break you down. I can't.
Time to do some real damage.
Doesn't matter. Green bar's already halfway done. I don't even care. It is really amazing how quickly this map depopulated and how dead it is. Especially considering this is still the most current content in the game. Has been for months now. And just like there's zero interest.
Wither. Clear the air. You sick? Wither.
Time to do some real damage.
I'll break you down. Feel the fury.
So from what I understand,
Time to do some
I've seen it mentioned in a couple places, but I haven't actually been like, I haven't been privy to the conversation itself, or I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time on the subreddit. But from what I understand, the fact that ArenaNet's been reusing a lot of assets lately has been a conversation.
More Brotherhood, and
Um,
we may have a lead. A suspicious haze propagating in the mine.
If this haze looks similar to the void, there's a lot of it around here.
Can you scan some samples? Apparently it's making workers ill. I suspect it's correlated with this unusual behavior.
I can. You're sure the lead's credible?
As far as I can tell, their stories check out. Plus, playing the law card helped. What they don't know won't hurt them.
But be careful. If true, the haze is likely harmful in large quantities. I'd scan from smaller hotspots if possible.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start scanning for the haze.
You'll be doing that one for days.
We'll have plenty of time to mess around with more of this stuff later. So let's see.
Feel the fury.
Let's go this way. Actually, let's go this way. So as I mentioned, it looks like void, but it is not void. And then we get a lot of. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. We get a whole lot of reuse stuff. It's true, we do. So the people who are complaining about that, like I get why they would do that. Like I get why they feel like that's like not good or something. But ultimately, I think that you know it's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, and it works relatively well here. The things that are reused, you know, they work. The abyssals work. The void-looking stuff works. So I don't know that it's a crisis.
Commander! Signs of labored breathing. Running into trouble? Risking death?
Everything okay? I'm getting a lot of static.
Terrible. Cutting out. Awful down here. Call you back.
That was mildly concerning. Guess
It
I'll
was.
see if they call again.
So they do an interesting thing with the commander throughout this whole story here, which is that they make the commander like a little bit more oblivious. whereas usually the commander's like, onto it when there's like weird stuff going on, and the commander's the one who identifies stuff for everybody else, identifies that there's weird things going on. Not with this story. The commander's kind of the last one to figure stuff out when it comes to the story, which is fine. I mean, I find that I find the player character to be an extremely unlikable character anyway, so I don't know that that's like a crisis for us. Let's go ahead and leave them like that. But it is like very unusual compared to their usual way of doing business. All right, we need to find a few more of these haze locations. There's too many enemies around here. There's more of them up here. Or there should be, at least. So I really think, by the way, that they really wanted people to advance the story as they were advancing through the meta, which is why, like, right now, I'm looking for haze and there's, like, enemies everywhere, because they did not, they don't want me doing it this way. They really don't. I don't think. I think they want me to participate in the meta to free up the space that I need to do these things.
Sweet, sweet loot.
I get it. I understand why they want that. But that's not what I want at all. Oh, have I already been here? Is that what that is? There's another hotspot.
I'll break you down. Wither.
It was worth noting that all these Brotherhood, remember, it's not like when we were in Kainang or something, the Brotherhood were actual enemies, or, Ekavald. All these Brotherhood, in theory, work for Cholmu, and they were, like, not good guys, but they would not have been combatants for us, were they not, like, in some way corrupted or whatever's going on here. Alright, there's just too many of them to make this rewarding or feel good.
Swallowed by a haze blob, even for science.
Swallowed by a haze blob.
Your last call was...
How many more will die?
What?
I said we're fine. Your breathing sounds a bit fast. Don't push yourself. Cutting out again. Let's try...
There's no way. No. Just distortion.
Alright, so very clearly, and I say very clearly, not that we would recognize the voice, but more so because it actually said in the, like it said that it was Almora saying that. So we get this voice from Almora, right? The dead leader of the Vigil. And so obviously, like, that bothers the commander. The commander is confused. Like, what could this possibly be? Ugh, do I still need one more? I do. Annoying. And I'm sure that the commander's, like, justified in their concern or whatever over this. However, I do wish that ArenaNet had chose to go a different route. I don't like the way it feels to once again, for like the umpteenth time in the Guild Wars 2 story, have a commander who's like tormented by the mistakes of the past and wishes they had done something different, and like is hearing their dead friends or seeing their dead friends or like experiencing like some sort of PTSD.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Just scanned your last sample.
Much appreciated. Your reading suggests this haze is composed primarily of raw magic, very similar to Void. However, the samples contain an extra element not found in unfiltered magic. I'll run further analysis. In the meantime, let's all regroup in the lower mines. Oh, and if you see any jade on your way, could you test it for a haze reaction?
I'll look into it. If I have time.
I have a theory, but without data, it can only remain poison.
Alright. So close relationship to the Void, or in terms of like the magical whatever. but it is not in fact void. That's about what we got right now on what we're seeing. That will make some more sense as we advance through, although there are times when it feels like little in the story like makes sense. Man, look at that. See, we're already running down. We're down to 3 filters. That's not good. All right, let's see if we can get some of these jade blocks. Ooh, I don't know if we can with all these dudes on us. I don't remember if being in combat will disengage us from the jade blocks or not.
Feel the fury.
All right, take it to one of these spots. Yeah, running low. On filters. So see, that's that's what I was talking about, where like it doesn't feel good. Now we're being punished. We have to like, oh man. Now we got to go find a way to get more filters. Is the debuff actually? No, we got 2 filters left, so we don't have the debuff quite yet. We're gonna have it soon. Let's go. Ooh, let's see if we live to look into this. Brutal up, and we went to a place where we have no options. Bummer, man.
Feel the fury.
Say your prayer.
Feels real good. Feels real good. Now, in fairness, trying to ignore all those enemies was a big part of the reason I went down. But what actually downed me was the damage I took from running out of filters. Such a silly dynamic to have on the map. Alright, where's the filter station? Here it is over here. I can't help but wonder if that's a huge part of the reason that like people don't go to Guyala Delves, right? Why is there a very profitable meta event with its own weapon set tied to it and a set of ascended armor, unique ascended armor tied to the map in general? Why are all these things like being completely ignored by a vast majority of the Guild Wars 2 population? Because they found a way to take what could have been a fun map and make it unfun. That's not good. And this area is so much worse because the meta event hasn't advanced here yet. But again, like kind of like forcing us to participate in the meta to advance the story, which isn't the first time and won't be the last, but I've never been like a huge fan of that. At times it doesn't feel as bad as it does here. But.
I could outrun a centaur. Get out of here! Feel the fury. Wither.
Let's see if I can pull him around this corner.
We heal as one.
Nah, they're just gonna kill my pet.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Yeah, the commander's almost here, and by himself. That's where Guyala Delve was at, in case you were wondering. That's pretty unfortunate, all things considered. Now, I think I could actually mount while carrying the block of jade. Usually you can mount while carrying an item. However, because I was in combat, I could not. See how we go. I think the next block of jade will actually do it for us, though, and there's a spot to put it over there, so if we can get through all this nonsense without getting killed, then we should be just fine.
progress on the Jade experiments?
I tested a few jade blocks. Their color darkened after contact with the haze.
That would suggest the secondary element imprinted itself on the base. We're onto something here.
That's nice. Hey, have you heard anything or anyone odd during our calls?
You always seeing monsters where there are none.
I haven't noticed anything, but it's possible a Brotherhood comm is causing interference. Once you're here,
I have to go.
I don't even know why I came over to help these guys. That was a dumb decision. There's no reason for two people to try and do the meta event. That's stupid. All right. Fortunately, we have the ability to move on in the story. So the commander recognizes that they're seeing and hearing things. That's good. It's good to have the wherewithal to at least identify that you are experiencing that. Does not, however, bode well for like their mental and physical health, I guess. Oh, am I gonna feel obligated to res this person?
oh, you made it. Further research awaits, Commander. Shall we? Still so many questions. We already neutralized the void, or confirmed it. Yet there's obvious disequilibrium here.
I'll try to get more out of Chilmu about this haze once we're done.
Would he even know anything? You said yourself, he's been hiding at camp while this crew goes berserk.
Look, he really screwed up, but he's not what you think.
Oh, a criminal, a coward. Well, so far he's proving both.
Jeez. Although, of course, we understand why Rama doesn't like him, right? I mean, Chulmu is like a mafia boss, and Rama's, was a cop, so... Oh, goody. The instance feels just like the map.
Feel the fury.
Now, when the map was... I should say, when the map was populated, it was, like, very easy to advance through the story because there were constantly people, progressing the map, and it worked a lot better. Now the whole map is less fun because of the state of it,
Time to do some real damage. Rip 'em up.
So cold. The way ahead's blocked. Come on, Finn, let's check it out. I need some air anyway.
You're not getting it down here, that's for sure.
Alright, yeah. What's up with this giant wall?
Looks pretty solid, but I bet we can find some spots to break through. Finn, switch to inspect mode, please.
But of course. Now activating inspect.
Commander, you know your way around a mech drone. Care to do the honors?
Do I have the option of not doing the honors? I do not. Alright. So we're going to use this drone to, to check the wall for weaknesses, and what that's going to look like is we're going to use, our scanner here, and then analyze the individual weak points. So...
Your mech seems more agreeable now.
A little too
give you a hint,
Finn's back to
basalt,
himself
as
after
I recall,
doing some
not what we're looking for.
behaviors.
Yeah.
Look,
This is like a hard
Chilmu's
rock,
not the
right?
easiest guy to vouch for, but you've seen him at his best. Dragon's End? That's the real him. He gave me a chance when the world acted like I was invisible.
Okay,
Before
we already
Chilmu,
know that Ooze
Brotherhood
Deposit's
was my
good.
only home. Right now, he's losing control, and he knows it. I'm worried he can't get it back. But if I can help, I will. I want to.
Oh, I still have to examine this even though we know it won't work? Oh. I didn't use the thing on the whole rock. Oh, that's basalt. There we go.
Objective complete. Was this result to your satisfaction?
You did fantastic, Finn. Thank you.
This is the first time I remember ever in Guild Wars 2 where they actually have you get, like, clear the blast.
Aware, haze levels are likely to rise the farther we go. If you feel faint at any point,
You'll be the first to know. Shall we?
So if the map's going to have filters, the least they could have done is throw, like, a skin that they very obviously already have in the game, which is, like, the water breather filtration mask skin. Well, I don't have it on this account, so I can't show it. But even this would have worked. And there's actually an air filtration helmet skin, or water breather skin. Well, the benthic hydro breather, whatever it's called. Or there's an air filtration mask skin also. Either one of those, I think those both go back to, like, Season 1. Throwing those on our characters would have been a nice touch.
Demons, ambush, ahead! Hit them! Feel the fury.
Now, if there is going to be a tie-in between this part of End of Dragons, this extra bonus portion of End of Dragons,
Yeah, you were right. Just interference.
Although, your lack of eye contact is a tad concerning.
Oh, nice catch.
yes. So Gorik asking us about the earlier we mentioned hearing voices. That's a good thing to ask us, Gorik. You're on your game.
Demons. Does Cho Moon know? He didn't mention.
More reason to be careful who you place faith in.
Look, just because your mentor...
Finish that sentence. I dare you.
So Secrets of the Obscure is going to heavily feature demons. From what we can tell, they are like the primary adversary. So there is some minor tie-in. I'm not under the impression right now that Secrets of the Obscure is intended to be any sort of continuation off this story at all. But maybe there's some, like, thematic transition that takes place there. We go from fighting the dragons to fighting demons in this, like, little edition of End of Dragons, and then we fight demons in Secrets of the Obscure. So maybe that's a thing, but I don't know that I would read too much into it. At this point in time, I don't believe that was I'm not saying it wasn't a conscious effort. I don't believe that we should read more into it than what it is.
We heal as one.
Which is that there are only so many enemies that aren't dragons that they have options for in Guild Wars 2, quite frankly. Because they've shown a very serious unwillingness to look at some other things. And they've also, if you take a look, like the entire... wow. Gorik shot a projectile. Leyline anomaly here reflected it, and it damaged me. That's really interesting. I don't know if I've ever noticed that before. There are definitely storylines that ArenaNet will not mess around with. And in general, it seems that they're not big fans of turning races against races, which I get, right? It because it doesn't match, like, their whole thing. But oh, that was stupid. I know that this thing uses reflex. Why did I switch to a ranged weapon? They've also done a thing where they have, like, sort of power crept everything in the entire game to the point where just, an adversary that is You know, that's another thing that makes Drizzlewood so interesting is it's not like a huge supernatural monstrosity of an adversary. The adversary is Char, at least for part of it, right? And then the adversary becomes Jormag and so forth. But that's so unusual for them at this point in time, and I think it would be a welcome thing. Please do make the adversary like a renegade, you know, a renegade group at Char or the Inquest or, you know, something like that versus it's like the final boss of Guile Delves or something. That's harder than the final encounter.
Commander, you all right?
Feels like I got the wind knocked out of me.
Alright. Yeah, so we continue to see and hear things. That's important for the story.
Wait, is that
What is it?
A ley line.
an unparalleled source of raw magic, pure energy? This must be why the proximate jade is so powerful. It could be monumental in solving Kentha's energy predicament.
So not only do we have these ley lines, note that we also have like ley lines seemingly directly emerging from like these weird worm-like beasts. And I don't know that we have a real good answer on what's going on there, whether it was just cool level design or if there's more, or if there's going to be more with Secrets of the Obscure. Because I could be completely wrong about Secrets of Obscure having like very little tie-in with all this. Maybe it has huge tie-in with all this. I don't know. I just kind of doubt it.
Interesting. And what's this?
So you can see this jade that's down here, closely exposed to the demonic energy and the ley lines, is a completely different color. I actually prefer this. It's like really cool looking.
Fascinating. I need a closer look.
Finn, can you get us across?
Activating gap traversal device.
Is this what's messing with the Brotherhood? Working near a power source this strong?
Unlikely. The simple exposure to ley line energy generally isn't enough to affect one's well-being. Though something is unusual here. I've never seen a ley line produce any kind of miasmic byproduct.
Oni, move now!
There's more than one?
It must be deceiving our senses, blurring reality. We have to stay focused. Everyone take a platform and
Feel the
divert its
fury.
attention. Commander, I could use your help here.
much harder.
Come with me. I'll give you a lift.
All right, so here we go with the with what is actually the all right, and here we go with our former counterparts.
Bravest war masters in my order. No, that's changed, my friend.
All right, so they're saying things to us to inflict like self-doubt, but haven't we done this so many times before? And I really like that. It's really weak on the part of ArenaNet, in my opinion. So while I might be satisfied that we're getting like some other dark thing, and it's you know it's not a deviation from what Guild Wars 2 does, but like we have the potential for something really engaging, and then it just ends up being the commander confronting their doubts again. And I can't help but wonder, is like the entire like staff of ArenaNet like a bunch of like really self-conscious people who don't handle like disappointment and failure well, and they always worry about what other people. Is this a reflection of like this subreddit mocking their, you know, the game they've worked so hard on, or like what's happening here that they seem really focused on the main character not being able to manage their own doubts and their self-image? Really bizarre. But yeah, that's what we get. Forgal, you want to throw some shade at us, buddy? Anything? No? Alright. There'll be plenty more. There's time for it.
They'll have to hit much harder. Feel the to do some real damage.
Wither! Can you hear me? Yao wants you over on their platform. They need backup.
I know what you're trying to do. It won't work.
Commander, we'll talk later, I promise. Yao needs you now, okay?
Huh? Yao. Yes, right.
Alright, so this is all an exact replica of the med event on the map. The med event on the map works exactly the same way, just with a different number of people.
Commander, you all right? Hang in there with me.
These people love you. You don't care.
You know that's not true.
Wither!
Maybe if this was the first time we confronted something like that, it would be more interesting. Because I think it goes okay with the demon like theme, right? But Jormag did it, and the Shining Blade required us to do it. And there was somewhere else where it happened too, where we like had to confront. Yeah, it's been done so many times that it feels horrifically unoriginal.
Feel the power of the jungle dragon!
They'll have to hit much harder.
Feel the fury!
Commander!
I never wanted to hurt them. Air.
Finn! Shield drama! Quick!
Shields!
Thank you. Commander, Rama could really use you over
Clear
here.
the air!
Okay. Let's go help Rama. Jeez, that thing takes some, thing really goes at you.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Less apologizing,
I'll
more
break you
helping.
down!
Do you see them too?
Yeah, we're fighting them. What are you talking about?
I'm just passing through. We need to talk. So many lives lost.
There was no other way.
I was nothing to you.
That's not fair. I did everything I could. Almora.
Now, at least they do put forth the effort to make the apparitions appropriate for the people who are talking to us. So here, where we have Almora, you know, we have these Char apparitions versus with Air, it was like Mordrum and what was it with Forgal? Was it Zaitan's minions? I think probably it was Zaitan's minions, but I kind of wasn't paying that much attention. So yeah, that's a nice touch at least. We'll take what we can get.
I'll break you down! Feel the fury! We heal as one! Head down! Next! We heal as one! Wither! Is it just me, or am I amazing?
I'll revive you soon.
It's regenerating. It must be healing itself with the ley line.
Let's get out of here, now! Commander? She's blacking out! We need to get her and go!
You haven't changed a bit. Killing and corrupting. It's what you were born to do.
All right, so that was Almora and Air there at the end talking to us. Again, like our self doubt, like speaking through their apparitions or some such nonsense.
Hey, you're up. Do you know who we are?
Look at me closely, Commander. Concentrate. Who am I? Take your time. You were extremely
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine, Gorick.
Oh, thank the alchemy.
You had us worried. You were talking to us like we were... well, not us.
Like old friends.
Yes. That demon. It was messing with my head. Made me think you were someone else.
Yes. I should have known as soon as it introduced those clones. It appears to be able to alter its victim's reality.
I've been trying to reach you since Yao dropped everything and ran into that hole. June is... she's...
Furious, I know. But we're making important discoveries down in this hole. And if I have to upset June to save...
June will not be upset when she hears what we found. A ley line. That's what's been supercharging the Jade.
Well, that's fantastic! A potentially free-flowing jade-based energy source. It's too good to be...
There's an unkillable mind-altering demon gorging on it.
Oh.
Don't worry, we'll eliminate it. Or at least lure it away from the ley line.
And what's your plan of attack this time, General Gorick?
I'm afraid it's going to be unpleasant, especially for the commander. I wish there was another way, but that demon seemed particularly attracted to you. Fighting it will require neuroparasitological investigation.
If that's what it takes.
Sorry, Commander. Yao's right. It is important work. I'll fill June in. Keep us posted if you can, and good luck.
Yeah, God forbid we upset June. Let's do some parasitological. Yeah, I know that is a word. Investigation. All right. Gorick. What's up, buddy? Oh my gosh. He's got a lot of stuff to say. All right. Commander, you should really stop losing consciousness. It can't be good for your health. Agreed. Sorry, I was going on about old friends back there.
No apology necessary. That creature tried to latch onto a powerful memory to see what emotions it could provoke. Although it seemed to me that first memory wasn't enough. That you dealt with those, metaphorical demons before.
Yeah, I have, because ArenaNet keeps throwing them at me. I also saw Air and Almora. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, the demons seem to latch onto increasingly raw and more recent memories, feeding on your response. And I'm afraid we're going to have to use that to our advantage if we're ever going to completely defeat it.
Okay. Why does it feel so raw all of a sudden? That being, I believe this is referring to the loss of Air and Almora and so forth.
Maybe you haven't completely dealt with all of your feelings. Or perhaps the haze somehow lowers our ability to cope. Or it enhances our sensitivity to emotions. Unfortunately, we're going to have to experiment to find out.
I'm looking forward to that. That sounds great. How are you feeling about taking charge, Gorick? You seem to really be an Asura with a goal here. What's up?
I thought I was ready, but as Rama has helped me understand, it's harder than it appears. I have a new appreciation for you, to be sure.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need someone to grovel. Seems like you're picking up quite a bit from Rama. You guys working well together?
I'm starting to wonder whether his high degree of intuition can be taught. But I'm doing my best to take his advice and watch how he works.
That's good. That sounds smart. Rama, how's he doing, buddy? Oh my gosh, he's got a bunch of stuff too. Brutal. Bit of a rough one back there, huh? At least you're up and moving. Yes. Sorry, I thought you were Almora. Is that a nice thing to say to someone? Like, sorry, I thought you were someone who meant way more to me.
So I hear. Sounds like she was a hell of a soldier. And a good friend.
Better than you, Rama. Yeah, really came through back there, right? Huh?
Yao's mech came through.
Right.
Technically, Yao built the mech, so...
Finn is pretty great.
Okay. A lot of folks say they want to help, but only show up when it serves them. But Yao's good people. And Finn.
Fair observation. I can dig that, Rama. How's Gork doing? Is he actually
Got
doing
up
good?
to a shaky start, but took charge when the chips were down. Made good decisions. Hey, he's learning from the best.
Agreed. Being me or being you? So actually, I'm glad that the commander doesn't make a joke like that because we already know the commander thinks that they're the best. We don't need more of that. What's up with Chul Mu? Like we know. So here's the question that we actually asked. Any thoughts about Chul Mu? But we know how Rama feels about Chul Mu.
Much as I've learned to trust Yao's judgment, not sure I'll ever come around on this. But Yao has their reasons. I get it. Yao, Chulmu, June. They're like a dysfunctional little family. Not sure if Yao's the kid or...
The marriage counselor?
They do feel that way, don't they? Good call, Rama. They are like some kind of weird inbred family, and none of them are likable. June's not likable. Chulmu's not likable. I personally don't love Yao, although they're not that bad. But man, ugh. Okay. Heard you said something about wanting to see Captain Min.
Maybe. But you start asking me about my love life, and I'm gonna return the favor. Don't think you're ready for that, pal.
I'm not, because Commander's not given the option for relationships in this game, which probably is for the best. I don't know that they would I don't know how that would actually go for for ArenaNet to try and introduce that mechanism. I am surprised they've never introduced the ability for characters to marry other characters, or they did introduce wedding attire for the RP bit. I don't know if it's for sale right now or not. You never know what's for sale. It's August, and the anniversary's coming up any day. Any day now. I don't remember exactly when it is in August. It's not getting much public. It's not getting a lot of attention with the Secrets of the Obscure coming out. So I think that's why there are a lot of sales right now. There's a lot of good stuff. All three of these, I like a lot. Have all three on my main account. Really like Immortal Olympus. Man, I might buy that. Very much might. But yeah, the wedding attire. Let's see. You know what I should do? Yeah, there we go. See that? But that's the only thing they've done in that capacity. I have heard the suggestion, so not my original idea, also not direct from the studio, just a suggestion from other players, that they don't want to deal with the mess of players wanting to delink their accounts or unmarry characters, and that's why they've not introduced some sort of mechanism like that. And I do know folks who have met in the game and been close and then separated, so I get it. Maybe they just don't want to have that heartache. But I am surprised they haven't introduced it. It is an MMORPG after all. Yeah. At least we made it out okay. Yes. Every jump is a good jump as long as you walk off the drop zone, right? Sorry I was so disoriented when you needed me. Maybe I'm the one who needed people this time. I don't know.
It's okay. Gorik told me about Air. How much she meant to you and to your whole crew. Her bravery in the fight against Mordremoth. The way she was betrayed. I'm sorry.
So once upon a time, someone in my platoon died, and some general came out to talk to us, presumably to make us feel better. I think his intentions were really good. This isn't about the general. Somebody told the general a story that was completely untrue about this guy, and so this general shows up to express his condolences to my platoon, and starts telling us this story that he heard from someone else, and he thought we would all be nodding our heads and saying, yeah, man, what a guy. But it was untrue, and we were all confounded. We're like, what is he talking about? What is this made-up nonsense? This Medal of Honor type stuff that never happened in the first place. And now that's how I feel about Air. How much she meant to us. Air wasn't terribly likable. She was really aloof, and turns out that she'd been lying to everybody. Only slightly more likable than Kaith. And her bravery in the fight against Mordremoth, she fell off an airship, got captured. We released her from captivity, and she immediately got stabbed by someone else, and then died at the hands of a Vinetooth. She might have been brave, but she accomplished nothing against Mordremoth. So yeah, I'm not sure you've been talked to there, buddy. Are you worried June will think you're betraying her?
June's not a charitable person.
Yeah.
But deep down, I think she knows I'm loyal. Though maybe that's part of the problem. I would never betray June's trust. But just because I stopped working for Cholmu doesn't mean I cut off all ties. Like June, he can be tough. And it's no stretch to say he hasn't been at his best down here. But he didn't get where he is by being incompetent, and he truly cares about his people. Anyway, if June knows me as well as I think she does, she'll get it. She might not like it, but she'll understand.
Yeah, well, June's a narcissist and very possibly has borderline personality disorder, so I'm not sure that that's actually the case, yeah. And as for Cholmu, there are a lot of criminals who like their people, but that doesn't, for that matter, there are, heads of state for totalitarian states who like their soldiers, just no one else. You might want to reevaluate, like, your worldview. Who are you here helping, June or Cholmu?
Kantha. This discovery could
noble.
do so much for so many people. And if I can help some old friends along the way, even better.
All right, well, I got bad news for you. If you felt like that was a lot of unnecessary dialogue at the end of this instance, you're not going to like what comes next. We're just going to take... So we're experiencing the debuff right here. And that's not good. Yeah, no, I get it. We're not having fun with that. So let's... Okay. Cool. It did let us waypoint out. Nice. Literally a character named for fishing. I got no problem with that. Some people really get into the fishing, and I think that's cool. I'm not one of them. To be clear, I finished the fishing achievement on my main account, and I felt good about that. And I don't know how much more fishing I'll be doing ever again. Maybe some. But some people really got into it. I think that's awesome. Like this person, I did create a character specifically for fishing. Is that weird? I bet it is. Oh my gosh, I'm weird. All right, so in between the release that we just completed, which was What Lies Beneath, and the next release, which is What Lies Within, for however long it was, 3 months I believe it was, they just regularly from time to time introduced a little bit of extra like story stuff via Gorik's research journal right here. So every couple weeks, or I think it was about every 2 weeks, there would be something new to listen to in Gorik's research journal. It's all lore. It's all tied to the story. There is no gameplay that's going to be happening here. It's just kind of... Wow, she looks just like Gwen. Cool. Good job. Is just extra stuff to set the table for the next story release. So let's go ahead and we'll just go through it real quick, listen to all of it, and then if there's anything particularly interesting, we'll talk about it. Listen to entry 1.
Testing. Gorik, recording on behalf of Friend Detective Agency on site at the Brotherhood's Jade excavation. After the recent demon run-in, our efforts to curtail Kantha's energy crisis are postponed. Me and my team of experts.
Your team, huh?
Our team is strategizing a plan to remove said demon from its power source, a ley line housed within the mine.
You're recording? Can I get some airtime? Engineering Grandmaster Yao here, reporting from the trenches of an illicit jade mining mega operation.
Yao? These are case notes, not a hollow news broadcast. I'll continue logging updates as they occur. Gorik, out.
Just trying to lighten the mood.
Great. I have nothing to say about any of that. Let's go.
Case notes. Entry 2. I ran further analysis on the unknown element present in the commander's hay samples. Though still indeterminate, I suspect it's a byproduct of the demon, likely agitated by its confined ley line proximity. For now, I've set up a makeshift lab for experimentation here at the mine. It's humble, but rather quaint, if I do say. It will serve my needs for the time being. I just need to keep out a few nosy Kappa trespassers. As usual, I'll continue logging my research as it proves pertinent. Gorik, out.
Yeah, so neither of those first two chapters, or first two entries, really give us, like, anything at all, do they? My only note, aren't, like, humble and quaint, like, borderline synonyms? They're not exactly synonyms, but they're really close, aren't they? Let's listen to entry 3.
Case notes. Entry 3. An unexpected visitor dropped by. Cholmu. I thought maybe he'd come to shut down my lab.
He was over here? Yeah, he does hate things built without his approval.
But he seemed to take an interest in my work, particularly the previously mentioned hay samples. Of course, I was thrilled to recount my current hypotheses, but he seemed more concerned about potential health effects.
He's been really torn up about his crew.
I'll continue updates once confidentiality can be maintained.
Sorry, just curious about the research is all.
Alright, so we're led to believe that Cholmu, like, really cares. Again, I'm not questioning whether or not Cholmu really cares. I'm just questioning whether or not that changes anything about our perception of Cholmu. I mean, they don't... That it's hardly substantive enough to be called a redemption arc at this point.
While I usually record notes as soon as possible, the events that transpired recently required a moment to process. It began when one of those Kappa packs got into my equipment, wreaking senseless havoc, smashed a hay sample. The sample was small. However, inhaling its contents in an enclosed area made me lightheaded. I knew it was unlikely to cause damage. Still, I went to recuperate on a cot at the medical tent. Once rested, I felt well enough to return to work. But when I opened my eyes, what I saw made my nausea return full force. Oh, Detective Rama, I mean...
Am I interrupting?
No, just recording some research notes. I can get back to them later.
Alright. Really, really stupid, unnecessary, needless observation. At the beginning of each voice in the recordings, there is an audible click, which sounds like someone pushing a button. But why would people who did not intend to be recorded, such as Rama, why would there be a button pushed and then them being recorded? It makes no sense. Alright. Entry 5.
Case notes. Entry 5. Rana visited to check in after my Kappa incident, which I suppose still needs explanation. Picking up where I left off. When I opened my eyes, I saw something I don't think I'll ever be able to forget. Blish was sitting across from me. Not in his golem body, but exactly how I remembered him from before his illness took over. He stared at me in a menacing way he never had before. And his body disintegrated into a mass of writhing needles. They swarmed me. I can still feel the prickle of their claws across my skin. At the point I thought I might suffocate, they vanished. The next thing I remember, I was clinging tightly to Yao, sobbing. They comforted me until I could pull myself together. Once I found the words, I told them everything. They stayed with me for a long time. Then they returned later with some tea. I'm still shaken up and rather embarrassed about what happened. But I'm so grateful Yao was there to help me through it. I'm going to see Tiny soon, and I plan to tell her everything that happened.
I actually think that's like somewhat interesting. And it does paints, so it gives us more of Gorik. And remember, like, they've done very little to, after we lost Blish almost became irrelevant. We get some minor dialogue from Gorik after the fact about how he missed Blish and wanted revenge, but really honoring Blish or anything like that never took place, and then it was just part of the past, and it was irrelevant. And so I'm glad we get some Blish related stuff, because that should be a huge part of Gorik's character. And then also they develop Yao a little bit more as well. So I like all that. Entry 6.
Entry 6. I paid Tiny a much-needed visit and told her everything. She has a way of making me feel better. We also spoke about the implications. We think the unknown element I've been studying is causing these effects. What's most troubling is that this incident confirms my earlier hypothesis. These hallucinations aren't random. They Based on the commander's experiences, and now my own, the delusions appear to target prime emotional vulnerabilities. The how of it all remains a mystery, but it does explain the demon's manipulation of one's senses. Now that I'm back, I plan to tell Rama and Yao about this development, though it seems they stopped by in my absence. They installed a few Kappa-repellent gadgets outside my lab, and left a kind note with the plated tea cookies. Picturing those two working together makes me smile. They seem on better terms lately. I hope the trend continues.
Aw, shucks. That's nice. I also want some tea cookies, but no one's bringing me any. Entry 7.
Case notes. Entry 7. Today was unusual. Rama visited. That wasn't unusual, though his demeanor was rather tender. However, Yao and Cholmu also visited. Yao did most of the talking. Odd, as Cholmu's keen on speaking for himself. Yao explained that Cholmu had experienced hallucinations. I asked him to elaborate. Frequency, locations, etc. Rama made to leave, perhaps out of politeness, but Cholmu told him to stay. He said it's better we're all made aware. He didn't go into much detail. His visions were of a deceased friend, and they only occurred in the lower mind. Rama pressed him about the other crew members, but Cholmu claimed that none had voiced similar experiences. He originally chalked any behavioral discrepancies up to stress, but he realized too late that it may be something more. Cholmu's account seemed credible, if not a bit slow, and they're another data point supporting mine and Tiny's theory.
Yeah, I think we have every reason to believe that Shelmu's holding quite a bit back in that regard, right? Entry 8.
Something unbelievable just happened. Cholmu visited again. Once certain we were alone, he began frantically rambling. He admitted that he left out details about his hallucinations because Yao was present. Early on, Cholmu had worked on the forefront of the excavation. Alone one night, he heard someone run up behind him. Before he knew it, he was face down. He could hear the attacker hissing while bashing his head into the ground. Nearly unconscious, Cholmu felt the attacker start chewing his leg. He suspects it may have been trying to eat him. With the strength he had left, he cast off the attacker. He sat up to see one of his captains, blood staining her mouth. Their struggle continued, edging closer to a mine shaft. To keep them from falling, Cholmu tried to ram her backward. But in that moment, she lunged. Instead of hitting him, she flew over his back, free falling to the bottom of the mine. He was so shocked, he couldn't process it. His crew assumed the captain quit, as she'd recently been acting agitated. That's when his delusions began. He made me swear not to tell Yao, who'd known the captain. But I had to tell someone.
I actually think that's like an interesting story, and I believe we see it pop up again later. I also don't know. I still haven't played the new Fractal. When it turned out to be like a Guyala Dells related thing, I lost all interest in it altogether. One of these days I will play it. One of these days. But there's a possibility that it is also related to that event. Not 100% certain on that. I know it takes place like in the Guyala Delves and is related to all the demon nonsense. Under any circumstances, I do find that story to be like interesting and yeah. Now, let's move on. Entry 9.
Case note, entry 9. I have a confession. Despite Cholmu swearing me to secrecy, I couldn't keep his story to myself. I paid Tiny another visit and spilled everything. She was shocked, to say the least, but she was glad I confided in her. She echoed Cholmu's request not to tell Yao. There's no use upsetting them. I couldn't bring myself to do so anyway. Still, I feel better getting it off my chest. And as Tiny pointed out, if I was stressed, imagine how Cholmu feels. Between the guilt and the cruelty inherent in these delusions, it puts his behavior into perspective.
Indeed.
While I was there, Tiny showed me something exciting. A prototype for a device that she, June, and Yao are working on. It's as assigned to control the stress responses the demon seems to feast on, then channel that power back at it. It's based on my research findings, paired with Yao and June's Jade tech knowledge and Tiny's everything knowledge. We just might have a solution to our demon problem.
Alright, we got one left.
Case notes entry 10. This is it! We've done it! Thank the alchemy! Timey asked me to stop by as soon as possible. When I arrived, she, Yao, and June were putting the final touches on their newest invention! It boasts several features, not to mention a sleek design. I can't wait till the commander sees, though I need to keep reminding myself to treat it with sensitivity. The commander's role in our plan will likely be the toughest and most psychologically draining. You know, I'm on pins and needles for the invention's debut. Demon, here we come. Goric, out.
Alright. So we are not going to read the letter from Goric. Not right this second. We're going to do that in a few minutes. First, I'm going to go ahead and insert a quick video break here because we are going to get through like all of it today, but it's time consuming. So thanks for rolling with me thus far. What have we learned? Well, we came to Guyala Delves where they were looking to mine jade that was already powered as a means of addressing this like jade tech power crisis that we're experiencing post Suwon. And they found a potential solution to the Jade Tech power crisis. I had earlier stated in my playthrough of Elder Dragons that I didn't remember that being addressed, and I was mistaken. Apparently, they do address it with this stuff, and I just had put it out of my mind because I didn't find this part of the story particularly engaging at all. So they do address that whole power crisis thing, but we can't access all that energy because there's a demon feasting on those ley lines, and he's like super powerful and causing the commander all kinds of issues where the commander, once again, for like the umpteenth time in the Guild Wars 2 story, experiences severe PTSD. So Timey and Goric and Yao and June and all these folks are like working on a solution, and maybe they have a solution, but it's going to require the commander to do things. We're going to find out what those things are when we come back, and we'll see if we can actually find a way to defeat this demon. So we'll pick that all up in the next video or in the next few minutes here. Thank you much.